we will discuss today is the in-depth working and functionality of internet, that how internet work. We all know internet is a set of interconnected networks. Basically, it is the most famous example. We can say it is an entire set of networks which interact or which communicate together to to make a certain network, and we are surrounded with many devices and many functionalities with many devices which are hosting internet and net. And in today's life we cannot imagine our life without internet, right? For example, from paying our bills to studying, and even very small things that we these days today we use internet for the same, right? So all in all, the thing is that internet is an indispensable part of our life today. So we must know what actually internet is. So before we can understand what internet is, we must understand what network is. Network is basically a multiple computers. When multiple computers are connected together and they interact with each other, that is a network. These all are controlled by one entity, a connection with which it is connected. That connection is called router, right? Router that acts as a connector and help in connecting various networks and make networks of network, right? Which we called internet. I hope I have clarified what network is. Now, what we call the internet is the World Wide Web. When we connect all these networks together, that is, we call it networks of network, then it makes internet. Now, you may be wondering that how these different networks connect to each other. These are connected via various protocols. Like for internet, we have internet protocol, that IP, right? Such that data is sent in packets. It is broken up into small packets, and then it is sent. In our upcoming slides, we will discuss the entire functionality of sending a piece of information, including the breaking up of in packet and adding frames to it, and then sending and routing it, right? And then receiving it at the receiving end, and then again resequencing them. We will discuss it in depth and in detail as well, right? So basically, as we have discussed, network protocol. Network protocol are few rules that govern the way data is packaged and transmitted and received. As I've told you, any piece of information which is sent via network is basically broken up first into the packets, right? These packets are then packaged, I would say. Packaged means we add sequence number, we add the source address, the destination address. We'll discuss it in detail in upcoming slides. Then these are transmitted and routed, and then it is received at the receiver end, right? The softwares that implement the rules of data transmission are network protocol, right? Then in only devices that share a common protocol can communicate. A protocol can be thought as the language that the computer speaks. Now, these devices, this network, do not understand human language, right? So there are certain set
Hello, ma'am, not able to listen your voice.
scenario or how this entire thing will happen. Here, as you can see in the top left side, a data is there, which was the entire piece of information that we want to send, right? it is accompanied with a sequence number. Sequence number is like, for example, if I'm having 10 pieces of data like this, like data 1, data 2, data 3, data 4, data 5 till data 10, right? Together they make one single piece of information, which is to be sent. It will be sent in small data packets, right? It will be broken into this kind of packet, which will be having a sequence number. Like if this is the first part of the data, it will be having the first sequence number, right? I hope it is clear that what sequence number is signifies to, right? It tells that what is the sequence of this particular data, which of this particular packet. The next part you can see checksum. This is also added into the frame, into the packet, right? Checksum is a number which is used to calculate that whether this particular information, this particular piece of data is corrupted or not, is being changed, or it is having some error or not. If it is having some error, the checksum will be different when it will be calculated at the receiver's end, right? So in the beginning only, when sender is sending the packet, it is calculated and it is marked, right? There are various methods and techniques to calculate the checksum. It is calculated and it is sent to the receiver, right? Then next thing that you can see is source address. We are having source address over here. Source address, what source address do? Source address is the address of this client machine, which is sending machine, who is sending the message. And destination address, as the name suggests, it tells us that what is the address of the destination or the receiving end address, right? Then this packet and these kind of packets, a sequence of packet is sent via this terminal, and it do not have any hard and fast rule that it will go through this side only. It randomly chooses its way as per the traffic, right? Few packets will go in this direction, few will go in this direction, some of them will go in this direction, right? So whatever is the scenario or the circumstances of the network traffic, these packets reaches the receiver, right? On the receiving end, these packets align themselves as per the sequence number. As you can see, here is the sequence number. With the help of this sequence number, they align themselves at the receiving end, right? And how they reach this destination? Via the destination address. At every you can say hop, they check their destination, whether the destination address is at this side or at this side or at this side, right? So it will check the destination and address and reach the destination, and at the receiving end they will recalculate the checksum, right, and match it with the checksum provided at the sender side. If it is same, that means the data which was sent, or the packet which is sent, is not corrupted at all, it is not changed or it is not dropped. But if after recalculation of checksum it is not same, that means some error or some problem is there, or some drop of packet is there, right? So I hope the entire scenario of sending a piece of information from sender to receiver is clear to all of you. Then this is basically TCP/IP protocol. TCP/IP protocol is transmission control protocol, wherein we were talking about, I have enlightened how this entire data packets are divided and then transmitted, fine. With the help of transmission control protocol, it breaks the data into packets before sending, right? Adds error checking information, adds error checking information to the packets. As we have already discussed, it adds the checksum and source address and destination address also. Then reassemble the packets when received. I have shown you how it enters into the network and how routes, it hops, and then it reaches the destination address, right? And then request retransmission of the failed packets. Failed packets are those whose checksum after calculation, after recalculating the checksum, which is not same as per the sender, then those failed packets are retransmitted again, right? Similarly, we have IP, which is the another protocol, internet protocol. It identifies the devices on the network, right? It helps. It is it is possible with the help of the destination address and the source address, which is marked in this packet, right? We have source address also, and we have destination address also. At every hop, it checks whether the destination address falls in this particular network or not, right? Then it routes the packet from the source to destination via these routers. So basically, if we talk about TCP/IP model, it has four layers, four basic layers, that is link layer, network layer, transport layer, and application layer. We will discuss all these layers in detail, right? Next, as you can see, TCP/IP protocol is not just a single protocol. It is basically an entire family of various protocols. The family of protocols, you can also call it suite of network protocols, right? Then these protocols are basically, you can see, I have already written all the, the protocols which are included in these families. The very first protocol is HTTP protocol, right? This TCP/IP protocol, before that, I would like to tell you where this TCP/IP protocol is used. As you can see, we have discussed a small subnet in our previous slide. This small subnet can be a LAN, it can be a WAN, right? So basically, TCP/IP protocol is used in LANs and WANs, right? It is not just a protocol, but a group of protocol, and hence it is also known as suite of protocol, like this. Fine. Now, you may be, surprised to see what router is. I hope the router is clear to everyone. It is a very important device and is a gateway for these subnetworks in which the data is broken into small packets, and each one of them is same as that of the original message, right? The sequence number, which is also clear to you, I have discussed it, right? So we reassemble the packet as per the sequence number in TCP/IP protocol, and IP addresses plays an important role in internet protocol. The IP addresses which is added to the packet C is used to see that without a packet, it go in the right direction or not. So IP address plays an important role in the IP protocol or internet protocol, right? Then further, we were about to discuss these all types. You can see HTTP protocol, that is hypertext transfer protocol, file transfer protocol, simple mail transfer protocol. We'll discuss in detail. Like for example, HTTP is hypertext transfer protocol. We have read this many times. We have seen this as a part of URL, right? HTTP is basically used to send multimedia rich web pages all over the network, right? We might have seen in URLs when we enter like www.gmail.com. HTTP is the protocol which is mentioned in the beginning, right? So next one similarly is FTP, file transfer protocol. As the name suggests, we used to transfer files with this, right? Then simple mail transfer protocol, simple mail SMTP. It is the mail transfer protocol which is used in emails, right? Emails are sent via SMTP protocol. Then next one is post office protocol, POP, right? This POP is used when we retrieve messages from the mail server, right? As for example, I would say your Outlook, right? In Outlook, we use POP, right? In Microsoft Outlook. Then IMAP, Internet Message Access Protocol. These all protocols, they work in the various layers, these four layers that we have mentioned. In our upcoming slides, I'll tell you where this suite, the entire TCP suite, where it is, which protocol is used in which layer. We will discuss it in detail. This is just an introductory slide that what various protocols are actually present in the TCP/IP suite, right? Then we were at Internet Message Access Protocol. Internet Message Access Protocol helps, or I would say allow us to mail on server such as webmail, Hotmail, Gmail, Yahoo Mail. So these all are accommodated by IMAP. IMAP is implemented over it. The next one is VoIP. VoIP is Voice over Internet Protocol. Herein, for example, these days we use that video calls, right? Our voice messages also can be sent to from one computer or to the other, or one phone to the another one. So we use basically the VoIP protocol. So that video and voice messages are allowed, right? The next one is TCP. This we have already discussed much. I think we don't need to discuss it again. TCP, that is Transmission Control Protocol. The next one is User Datagram Protocol, that is UDP. This is another important protocol which works similar to the TCP protocol, but it is comparatively lightweight alternative to TCP, right? It is very lesser in weight. Lesser in weight, I mean, like it is much less reliable than TCP. Because it has lesser checking of checksums and all. That entire functioning is of checking that whether the packet is reached or received or delivered properly or not. An acknowledgement thing is lacking in this UDP. That's why it is lightweight, right? Basically, it is used in live video streaming and video games. So we use UDP for that, right? Then IP, that is Internet Protocol, we have discussed it already. Then ICMP, this is another important protocol, Internet Control Message Protocol, right? It basically it works on the router's part. It checks whether the particular router from where that packet is going on is going to exchange it some error message, or what is the status of that router. It is to have that status only, that whether the router is, what kind of status that router has. Another one is ARP. ARP is basically used to check the MAC address and from the IP address, right? It converts the MAC address. It gets the or fetches the MAC address, right? So here in our next slide, TCP/IP model is, you can see in the entire picture that on the right side we are having TCP/IP model. On the left side we are having OSI reference model. OSI reference model are having 7 layers, and TCP/IP model has 4 layers basically. As you can see, OSI is reference model. Reference model we say because it is this TCP/IP was the implemented model in the internet, right? OSI model is a reference model. It is more of theoretical model, but the things that we do in TCP/IP model in practical implementation, it is more of the referenced from OSI model, right? In OSI model, it has physical layer, data link layer, then network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. These are the various protocols that work in each layer. You can easily see whatever we have right now. We have discussed all of them are used here. Here you can see that what called this HTTP, which we discussed, it works here. FTP we have discussed, it works here. Right? DNS and DHCP we will discuss in our further slides. TCP and UDP, which we discussed, right? Internet Protocol V4 and Internet Protocol V6. These are the 2 versions of IP, and ICMP V6 and ICMP V4 is also discussed, right? We have discussed ICMP in detail, we will do again. So as you can see the difference, like application layer of TCP/IP model, it accommodates application layer, presentation layer, and session layer of OSI reference model. Then transport layer of TCP model corresponds to transport layer of OSI reference model. Network layer of OSI model is being referenced by internet layer, and network access layer is being referenced by data link layer and physical layer of our OSI reference model. I hope Everything is clear till now. Okay. So one of the thing which we have to discuss is Ethernet. Ethernet, I hope Ethernet is also clear to all of you. It is basically a family of wired computer networking technology, which is used in LANs, LAN, MAN, and WAN. LAN is local area network, MAN is metropolitan area network, and WAN is wide area network. It was commercially introduced in 1980s, and the first standardized in 1983 as IEEE 802.3. It is named as Ethernet also, or IEEE 802.3 also, right? So it has mainly replaced the wired LAN technology. You might have heard about that token ring, FDDI, and ARN net, right? So all these things, these twisted pair cables and all these were replaced by Ethernet, that is IEEE 802.3. Fine. So next, in detail, what each layer of TCP/IP model performs. The first layer, network access layer, it controls the hardware devices and media that makes up the network, right? Uh, the next one is internet layer. Internet layer determines the best path through the network, that how this IP protocol helps it. IP protocol works over it. Then transport layer, it communicates the diverse devices across the diverse network. Then application layer represents the data to the user, plus encoding and dialog control, everything is handled over here. As you can see, easily you can recognize that this is basically where your data is uh, packaged into small frames and packets. Then here on this layer, the destination is found. Then on this layer, you check whether it is transported properly or not, right? So in this way, the entire TCP/IP model works. In the next part, you would see, like in network access layer, these are all the protocols that work. On internet layer, we have IP with NAT, IP support with ICMP, that is Internet Control Message Protocol. Then routing protocols work for routing of the packets, data packets to the destination. Then on transport layer, we have UDP and TCP working together, right? And then application layer, on the application layer, we have DNS for host configuration, email, we have discussed these, all these protocols. File transfer protocols are there, and web HTTP and HTTPS are, right? So this falls in application layer. I hope the entire architecture or the entire protocol suite of TCP/IP is clear. Okay, then next we have another important term, that is PDU. What PDU is? Protocol Data Unit. This signifies that whether the message which is, or information which is sent via network is properly, that part of information at various layers of TCP/IP protocol are called by the different names. Like for physical layer, we have physical layer or network access layer, we call it as bits, right? In data link layer, we call it frame. While our information packet is in network layer, we call it packet. At transport layer, we call it segment, and in application layer, we call it data, right? So these are known as PDUs. These all are protocol data units. And we name it as per the protocol of TCP/IP suite. Then let's take an example of PDU. Like you can see in the picture, the user is trying to send a message or an email or any kind of data, right? So how it will send and how it will encapsulate over here. You can see it will follow this line and it will move to the server, right? First of all, email data is there, you can see, right? So it is considered as data only because it works on the application layer. Here we are talking about the application layer. It will be passed down one by one. Now you can see email data is further subdivided into the various data packets, right? So it is divided into data, right? Now it will be accommodated, each data
packet will be added up with the transport layer header, right? Now this becomes segment. Okay. Now this entire packet with the data transport header will be accompanied by the network layer header, and it will be called as packet, right? Now this network header one packet will be added with the frame header in the beginning and at the end, right? So this will be called frame, fine. And then it will be converted into zeros and ones and it will be called as bits. So I hope the protocol data unit is clear to you that why it is just a name which is different. Otherwise, adding up of header is being done at each layer, and its conversion to bits, which is traveled into the network, right? Next, this again, we are encapsulating it. This is the wider picture or in-depth picture, which what happens at each layer. At application layer, we just have data. Then at transport layer, we add TCP/IP, TCP and UDP header into it, and it becomes TCP segment or UDP packet, you call it, right? Then at network layer, you add IP header, that is IP datagram it became, right? At data link layer, you add frame header and frame trailer, right, to the network layer wala packet, and it is of 22 bytes, right, and 4 byte trailer. Okay, so this is how the entire PDU works. Next, IP. Now, what IP is? We have already had a glimpse of IP, that is Internet Protocol. And now we must have realized that what is the significance of IP. Each computer on the network is having an IP, right? IP is responsible for end-to-end transmission. If we do not have address, IP is basically address, or you can say the name of that particular computer, right? It sends data in the individual packet. It maximizes the size of packet is determined by the network. If it is fragmented, if it is too large, right? And unreliable, that is packet might be lost, corrupted, duplicated, delivered, or out of order, right? So these all things are calculated with the help of IP only. We can only track that whether the packet has reached there or not with the help of IP. So IP address plays an important role. Each computer running TCP/IP must have a unique IP address. It's basically 32-bit number which is expressed as 4 denary octet for convenient notation. You can see this example 163.1.125.98. So these are the 4 denary octets, right? We can allocate IP address in two ways. One, it can be statically allocated, and another one, it can be dynamically configured also. When we allocate it statically, we have to enter this entire denary octet, right, in a sequence to all the computers which are connected in the LAN. When we say it is dynamically configured, then it is configured via DHCP, that is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, right? It also have a subnet mask which identifies that whether the computer location on network is 255.255.255.0, right? And it works with the help of a default gateway also for those IP address and provide access to the wider network, right? So this acts as a gateway for those IPs which are either configured dynamically or statically. Then another this 4 denary octets which we talked about works as per IPv4 addressing, right? Then now, as you know that most of the computers, we are surrounded with many computers these days, and each are having IP address. This IP address is 32-bit. That 32-bit we mean like there will be 2 raised to power 32 these addresses available only, right, which are about 4 billion addresses. But as we know that in today's life, we are surrounded by many devices which are working as per TCP/IP protocol, such that it exceeds, their number exceeds, like we need more IP addresses in order to in order to recognize more devices. So gradually we are switching to 128-bit addresses of IPv6 version 6, right? So here we'll be having 8 groups of hexadecimal quadrants. Like in the previous IPv4, we were having just 4 octets, right? Now we'll be having 8. Okay, so this will add into our IP addressing. Now let's take an example that how we actually communicate and how everything happens, how a packet is transferred. And let's see it more technically now, right? Now, this is the message, this is a piece of message which we want to send, right? Ask not what you can do for your country, right? So this is the message which is being sent at the application layer. It will collect data from the application software and format it for the further processing. These are the protocols. These 4 protocols will be used. Either this message will be sent via multimedia, right? Via mail, via it can be sent by our file. As a file, it can be transferred from one to another, or via any web application page, right? It can also be sent through POP, right? So these are the 4 protocols which will work on this layer, right? Now this entire piece of information is further divided into 3 parts, right? You can see one of 3, its checksum is 138, right? And the port is 80. Port 80 we mean like we are sending it through HTTP. HTTP's port is always 80, right? Then second part is again its checksum and 98 is. Then third part it's having 234. So this checksum is calculated. It has a proper methodology which is followed, and checksum is calculated for the same. Now on this layer, transport layer, packetize the data, adding sequencing and error correction information to the packet. By sequencing we mean sequence number, and by error correction information we mean checksum, right? Here TCP and UDP works together, right? Then on the next layer, network layer, we add source and destination of the IP address to each packet. Here you can see on the top blue frame is added to it, which is having an IP address of the source. You can see it is same on all the 3 packets, and the destination address 42.205.110.14, and similarly it is added to all the 3 packets in this way. Source and destination is added via protocol IP and ICMP. Okay, then further we move, we add source and destination MAC address also, right? Here when we talk about MAC address and we talk about NIC drivers which is to be passed on, we talk about ARP, RARP, NDP, right? So this ARP also plays an important role. It basically, what it do is it performs the this is ARP. We will talk about this in detail in our upcoming slides. It is address resolution protocol basically. Here it converts IP addresses into the MAC addresses, right? We'll talk about this in detail. So here it has shown that each layer is responsible for all this. Here at the top we have application layer, then transport layer, then network layer and link layer. So all these things work in, it corresponds to the various layers like this. I hope this protocol, TCP/IP protocol stack is clear now. Okay. So we were talking about ARP, that is address resolution protocol. Basically what address resolution protocol is, address resolution protocol is the communication protocol. Is an address resolution protocol, right? It is basically a communication protocol. It is used in the link layer. The addresses which are used is known as MAC address. It is associated with the internet layer address, which we are talking about IPv4. This 32-bit IP address is converted into 48-bit MAC address. For example, this was the IP address. It will be converted into this kind of MAC address, right? I hope you can see this difference. This ARP was defined in 1982 by RFC, right? Which is an internet standard STD 37, right? It is implemented in the combination of network as well as data link layer technology such as IPv6, which is an important part, right? Further, if we talk about ARP cache, it maintains the recent mapping of IP address to the MAC address. So in this way, this mapping is stored in the ARP cache. It helps us to easily access whenever this IP address is found, we easily map it to the MAC address, which is stored in the cache. We search it for the IP address first in the ARP cache. So the protocol ARP request broadcast on Ethernet, right? Then the destination host ARP layer responds. Okay. Like in these diagrams, you can easily see what is happening. You can see that there is a network, a small network, example of a small network over here. Each one of them is sender, another one is receiver, which is connected to the switch, right? Each one of them is having all the layers, 4 layers of TCP/IP model. In our next slide, you can see what is happening. This message, the packet which is being sent, right? Now, how ARP works basically, when we talk about that, as per every layer, like all the 4 layers, make or frames a packet which is to be sent to the receiver and is thrown in the network so that it may be able to reach the receiver, right? Now what happens is on ARP protocol, how it works, it basically it broadcasts that packet to all the directions, right? Here also to the system which is, or the hop, or which is not the destination, where we do not want to send the packet, and on the receiver side also it actually broadcasts it over all the nodes, right? This ARP request is broadcasted. If you look at this in detail, here we have target MAC address, you have FFFF, right? This 8 octet is there. Then source IP address is also there, and source MAC address is also there. So you are having the target MAC address is the destination MAC address. Now when this will move in this direction, when it will reach here, it will check whether the MAC address of this particular system matches the target MAC address or not. Okay. And similarly here also ARP address is going, right? ARP request is going. So it will also check whether this target MAC address matches with the receiver's MAC address or not. If it matches, then it will accept it. And again, the method of recalculating the checksum and sequencing all the data packets will be done, right, at the receiving end. And on the other hand, where it doesn't match, it will not do anything. Okay. Similarly, a response will be generated from receiver to ARP. A response is generated toward the sender and it will be reaching the sender easily. Okay. So in this way it works. I hope now the picture of ARP is also clear, that how ARP works, right? Next we have routing. Routing, and now it is another important, you can say, challenge which we face while sending our message from sender to receiver, because we know that that message has to travel into networks of network, right? And to find a particular destination address is a bit chaotic if we are not following a proper, managed form of protocol, or managed form of systematically we do not handle it, it will become chaotic thing, right? So routing is basically very important and significant issue of of making the internet protocol and network protocol successful. So how does a device know where to send a packet, right? All the devices need to know what IP addresses are on directly attached networks, right? This is the first thing which they must know while routing. If the destination is not on the local network, then send it directly there. Okay, so these are the two things which must be known. If the destination address is not local, that means it is present in some other router. For example, most non-router devices just send everything to a single local router, and the router need to know which network corresponds to each possible IP address, right? So it needs to be searched in such a quick method that routing become easy and lesser time consuming, and there may be no packet or data loss may be there, right? If there is a packet loss or uh, data loss, then it will be of no, it will be meaningless, and our entire network will crash. So for that reason, we have routing algorithms. Now, what routing algorithms are? Routing algorithms are procedures basically that lays down the route or the path to transfer data packet from source to the destination. Okay, so they help in directing the internet traffic efficiently. And once the data packet leaves its source, it can choose among the many different paths are there. Like in the beginning, we shared this slide. Uh, which one is there? This one, right? So when this packet is being routed, it can check like whether I need to go this way, whether I want to go in this way or this way. So it can choose its path. There are many different paths to reach the destination. So routing algorithm can calculate and compute mathematically computes the best path so that the least cost path can be selected, right? So there are various routing algorithms are there. Basically, they can be categorized into two parts. One is the adaptive, and another one is non-adaptive routing algorithms, right? So if we go into detail, it will take another 1 hour. So I will quickly tell you how a router works and how it checks that whether it have to it calculates how it calculates and how it tells that whether the destination is in this side or in some other router it is present, right? So router is basically, first of all, we must know that what router is. Router is a networking device, right? This networking device help us to forward the data packets between the computer network. For example, in this picture you can see here we have network. This is the entire network, sub network you can say, right? And this sub network is uh, data is sent through internet, such as web pages or email is sent through the from the sender through network via receiver. Receiver is also a part of network only. The packet is typically forwarded from one router to the another through the network, right? That constitutes internetwork or internet until it reaches its destination. So you can see clearly in this picture. Now this router is connected to two or more data lines. Like in this picture, it is connected to two or more data lines. Now here in this way, this sender is connected to router. This router is further connected to another router, right? The router reads the network address over here, right? It reads the network address information in the packet header to determine the ultimate address. Now there is a routing table also, which is made over here as a routing policy. Routing table also it is called. It directs whether that the packet which is being sent to the next network on its journey. It directs it. It gives the directions, right? So the most familiar type of routers, there are two types of routers, basically home and small office routers that are helpful in forwarding IP addresses also, right? So it hops from one router to another router till it reaches the receiver, right? In this way, you can see the sender has sent the packet and the entire packet is ready now to move in the network. It will check over here, it will reach here. ARP request will be sent to this next router, right? It will deliver the response that whether this particular MAC address is present with the router 1 or not, right? So it will give ARP response back. Then again, the same will be sent to the router 2, right? Then router 2 will check whether this particular MAC address is there in the routing table or not. Then it will send the ARP request further if it is not found. Then router 3 will check that this particular MAC address is here or not. If it is not found, then again it will move to the next. And if it is there, then it will, this target MAC address matches this receiver address. It is there in the routing table, then it will forward it to the recipient, right? Not to the next router. You can see here in all these packets, we were having router 1, the direction of next router 2, then it goes to router 2, then next router 3, then it goes to router 3, and now we found it in router 3 routing table, then it moves to the recipient. Okay, it is not forwarded to the router 4 or router 5. So in this way, I hope the entire picture is clear now, and that how it is routed, how data is sent via TCP/IP protocol. The next important protocol is HTTP protocol, which we need to discuss. The HTTP protocol stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It is simple and extensible, right? We all are known to the client-server model, wherein request is sent to the server, and in turn we get a response to the client, right? In the top right side, you can see the entire web architecture, wherein IP protocol, TCP/IP, DNS, TLS, right? All these things are accompanied in one layer. Then HTTP, that is the web application, works over here. We are also having uniform resource locator and uniform resource identifier, right? You can see protocol, host name, port, path, all these details, right? So in this way, when we give the address of the entire address of the server, we can easily communicate, right? So here you can see the structure of uniform resource locator, right? We are having HTTP protocol, then domain name, then path name and file name. Okay. So this is how, like, user issues URL from the browser. Here, this is the URL which will be sent to the network, right? Browser sends a request message. In this format, the request is sent. It will be having HTTP methods, that is get method, option method, many more HTTP methods, right? And then server maps the URL to the file or the program under the document directory, right? In this way. Then further it generates a response message that whether it is 200 OK or 300 not found, right? Or 404 error. Then further, browser formats the resource and display it to the client. Okay, so in this way, HTTP protocol works. Okay, further we have a domain name system. As you can see in the system, we are having a client machine. This client machine is requesting for this www.somecompany.com, right? It is sending a request with these green line you can see, right? It is being received by ISP server over here, right? Now this ISP server, what it has done, this is Internet Service Provider server, right? What it has done, it has converted www.somecompany.com into the IP address. It has sent IP address now. This IP address for this company. Now it is checking whether this IP address is present or not. Then it will go to the IP resolver, right? Here you can see IP resolver. Now this IP address gave IP address back, like, okay, this is the IP resolver cache, wherein it has a list of all the URLs and their IP addresses. Now it has checked in the IP resolver cache that whether www.somecompany.com, its IP address is this only or not. Now it has verified, okay, it is sending IP address to the ISP server. Then ISP server will contact to that particular IP and will fetch you the page of www.somecompany.com. I hope it is clear now, right? So in this way, domain name system works. It has a great significance, right? So this is again the same thing which we have discussed. Okay. Okay. So further, if we talk about DNS, there are various like .com, .net, .org. These all are top level domain servers, right? Uh, in the previous slide, we are having this root name server, right? This IP address for www.somecompany.com root name server will check in which kind of TLD it falls, right? Like it is this URL is having .com, right? So this it will check that all the TLD servers for there are like .com servers, there are .net servers, .org server, MIL edu server, right? GOV server. So it will check that the request which is generated is for .com. So it will check in the this server. Okay. Similarly, further, it will in com server also, it has authoritative name server, right? Then again, it will check. So in this way, DNS plays an important role. I hope now the entire, functioning that whenever we request for a URL, how it is transferred when we send a piece of information from one node to the another node to the receiving node, how that packet is being formed and how checksum is calculated and what all routing algorithms are followed to send a packet from one sender to the receiver is done, how we map the IP address to the MAC address through ARP. I hope all the things are clear now, right? If there are any questions or any queries, please let me know. Anji, if there are any queries, please. Okay, thank you.